Hi, good evening, everyone. All right, thank you. Thank you. So, good evening once again, everyone. Thank you for joining in. We understand your schedule might be a bit, you know, busy, but you meet. Sorry, can we hear me? I thought I had like a glitch. Okay, okay. All right, great. So, okay, so firstly, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining. It's lovely to have everyone here. We understand how this matter seems to be one of your concerns, balancing your daily life and balancing even things that affects you yourself, like your career, your goals, expectations, and several other things like that. So we are appreciative of you being here. So to begin, I would like to first of all introduce the topic for today in case everyone has forgotten. Today we're talking about balancing and balancing it all with losing yourself. And that's because balance doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be it has to be intentional. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be intentional. And it's something that we keep learning and adjusting, and rebuilding as life changes. So, and at Zayith, we talk about wellness a lot from the products we bring to the masses to, how people should eat healthy from a young age to old age, no matter who you are. And as a whole person, we know that wellness doesn't just have come in form of food. So we know wellness comes in like your body, your mind, your emotions, and your everyday life. And that's why we believe this conference should happen. And also in respect to the International Women's Day, in case we are not very much conversant with International Women's Day, International Women's Day is a yearly recognition for women across board, whether career wise or like just simply mothers or whoever the woman gender is. International Women's Day is meant for. So I'd like to proceed by introducing our guests. So the first on the list, I don't know if Dr. Folake Kofo-Idowu is on board, but I'm going to introduce her. Her name is Dr. Folake Kofo-Idowu, and she's the founder of Yewo, a healthcare startup focused on expanding access to affordable and quality care. She's also a double board certified infectious diseases consultant with over 15 years of medical experience in Nigeria and in the United States. She's passionate about sustainable health and wellness. Please let's use our emojis to welcome Dr. Folake on board, and please say hello to the team, Dr. Folake.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Lovely to be here.
Thank you for that. Please kindly turn on your mic and your camera so we can see you as well. Okay, so the next guest we have right now is Dr. Ogooluwa Ajiboso. Yes, so she is a medical doctor and founder of 19 Voices and co-founder of WoMama, whose work focuses on women's health and helping people make informed and healthy life decisions. She's experienced in sexual and reproductive health education and gender-based violence and advocacy. Let us welcome Dr. Ogooluwa into the room. And yeah, you can say hello as well, Doctor. Yeah.
So hello everybody. Very, very excited to be here today. I look forward to an amazing conversation.
Thank you for joining. Okay, so yeah, please turn on your mic as well. I mean your camera as well. Okay, so let's get straight into the conversation. So, as we all know, when many women today, are expected to succeed at work, at job, for their families, for those who are mothers or like wives, and even if you're not, you're expected to at least be there for your family, be present, take care of others and still have like everything under control. But over time, this starts to feel like pressure, rather than balance. So I like, from either of you, starting with Dr. Folake, why do you think women often feel the need to handle everything on their own? Where, and where does the pressure usually come from?
Okay, I'm not muted. I was saying I could go first. So this thing about us feeling the need to handle things by ourselves, a lot of it you have to understand is it's just how we've been raised and are cultured, but also part of it is also trauma. You're raised to do a lot of things, but also in a world where women are the ones who keep doing, and some people, a small subset of women now do not have people who show up for them when they need them. So you're just used to, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. And so we've been raised to be the caretakers from when we were young. You would hear a lot of young girls or young women will tell you that when they were growing up, their brothers would not really do much in the house. The brothers would get away with a lot. They watch their fathers just, they go to work, earn the money, and don't do anything around the house. Mothers would keep telling their daughters or their sisters, like, carry that thing well, because of when you get to your husband's house. Dress well, because of when you get, everything is always so that you can be good enough to show up somewhere. And society has also, praised women. Oh my God, this woman is fantastic. She's working, she's taking care of her children, she doesn't have a maid. They will praise you. And so other people feel the need to fall in line with that, right? And they also shame women. So it's not even just praising one side, there's the shaming of the other side where, you, why can't you work? Or you, why can't you take care of your children? Why do you need a maid? Why do you need a driver? You have too much, all of those kind of things. So it's just unfortunately how society has been set up, and we are part of that setup. So it really is us, and we are the ones that just need to, because we make up the society. So it just reinforces it, the shame, the stigma around either you are lazy or you are weak. It's just cultural expectations that we have set up for ourselves, and we're the ones who have to dismantle it by ourselves. And it's just, the strength really is in recognizing that for you to have a balanced and good life, you require support. There's no, one flower does not make up a garden, and one tree does not make up a forest. We were not meant to do life alone. And having people that you share things with, share responsibilities, share problems, just share life with, really makes it easier and worth living. Even on the difficult days, you don't feel that burdened and that alone. So I'll keep it at that.
Right. Thank you so much for that. Really, really relatable. I mean, almost every girl, I don't know if it's not all girls, can relate to being told, oh, you are doing this, what will you not do in your husband's house? Stuff like that is quite uncomfortable. So let's hear from you as well, Dr. Ogooluwa.
I think Dr. Folake has said a lot. I agree with everything she has said, to be honest. And if there is one thing I would like to add, one thing that makes this ideology to continue to grow in our present society is the glorification of the dehumanization of the Black woman. Now, in the sense that when you are saying somebody is a strong woman, they've manipulated that statement to mean you will suffer, you will keep suffering, and you will not complain about it. So they glorify that suffering. There's a glorification of suffering of Black women generally. So when they see a woman, the same way when we praise our mothers, right? Like, big ups to the mothers, to be honest. They actually did. They mothers are amazing. However, if we want to be realistic with ourselves, there are a number of things, a number of sacrifices that our mothers made that should not be glorified, or like all of it should not be glorified. But because we live in a society that society will praise you for suffering till you fall into a ditch, and they will ask you who sent you. So it is I feel like that's one thing, the glorification of suffering, because what happens with that is that we are now then dehumanized. There's a dehumanization of Black women whenever we are called strong women. You just see, oh, a strong Black woman, and then what you are seeing is a woman who is suffering. A woman who had to sacrifice her life, sacrifice a lot of things. But you know what will happen? The world will praise you and say you are a strong Black woman. So besides conditioning, which we are, because honestly, the way we are being raised, the way we are conditioned is to believe that the woman that suffers the most is the one with the greatest glory, is the one that is the best woman, the good woman concept. So besides how strong that is, it is also understanding that when we now grow older, we now see that, oh, it looks like it's the people that are suffering the most that are taking the glory. But because if you say you want comfort as a woman, people will keep saying, they'll tell you lazy. They'll say, well, can't you see your mates? So it is very important to understand, recognize that when people are praising you sometimes, it may not be, they may praise you to your death, and you need to know when to prioritize yourself. So yes, that is my response.
Yes, exactly that, and I like the fact that generations of now, they are now saying that, please, because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean I want to do it. And I think that's also one of the movements of like feminists, where they say that they want women to have choices. They don't want them to be like, oh, as long as you're a woman, you must do this. No, what if I don't want to do that? What if I don't want to give birth? What if I don't want to get married? Like, let the pressure not be there. Let me have my choice to do anything I would like to do as a woman. So that was a great input as well, Dr. Ogooluwa. So on to the next thing is, in conversations about wellness, and we often hear the phrase "don't lose yourself" and things like that. So, sorry, but many people do immediately not recognize when it's happening, and so there is like a disconnect, and then slowly you begin to see yourself completely drained, completely disconnected. And from your experience as doctors, in the women field, and even to women, what does losing oneself look like in real life, like based off of experience, especially women trying to balance different roles at once? What does it look like? I'll start with Dr. Ogooluwa.
All right. I think the first thing, the one way you realize that, oh, you may need to step back, is when you see that, or when you notice that you are now living for the validation and approval of people whose opinions should not actually matter to you. Because in reality, when you are living your life with how the world is, with how the world is constructed, there's a tendency to almost start living your life as a spectacle, as an audition. So it's almost like you are auditioning for people's applause. So if you need to always check in that, okay, this thing that I am doing, this thing I want to do, the current state of my life, am I sure that this is truly my life? Because you will not realize when the lines get blurry, when you are going from, this is something I want to do, and something that's expected of me that I am doing, but doesn't feel like my life. So I feel like when that line gets blurry, when you And when able to recognize, or when you realize that you are beginning to live a life that doesn't feel like yours, you are realizing that some decisions you are making, it doesn't feel like you are the one making that. You are beginning to live your life as a spectacle. You are beginning to live your life as an audition for people's approval and applause. Once you are able to pick up on that, you need to know that, okay, yes, I am beginning to lose myself. This is the point where I step back and recalibrate. I have to restructure and remind myself that my life is truly mine, and at the end of the day, I am the one living my life and not other people. So yes.
Thank you. Like taking charge of one's life, even if it has to do with prioritizing yourself and saying no, that's one way you need to be able to do that. Thank you, Dr. Ogooluwa. So let's hear from you as well, Dr. Folake.
Thank you very much for that. So the interesting thing about when we're losing ourselves is it's usually not recognizable. It starts with the small things, the little things you overlook, the small things that you neglect for yourself. Oh, I'll do this later. Everybody is eating, and you, the mommy, are the one who eats the leftovers. Right. And you're also teaching your children or teaching the people around you how to treat you. Like, yeah, you're fine with leftovers. So you're the one who would eat leftovers. You're the one who, oh, everybody eats. Oh, don't worry. When all of you eat, I will eat. I'll eat whatever is remaining or serve my own last. It also is that you delay your own joy. Oh, don't worry. And I usually get a pedicure. Don't worry. Well, I'll do it later. And later. So sorry, I lost network for. So people stop engaging in things that give them joy, that bring them peace, that bring them relaxation, and gradually they start getting exhausted. But we keep going because the work needs to be done, and that's just the plain truth. Children need to be taken care of. They didn't ask to be born, right? And you have responsibilities. If you have a job, you have a commitment, and you need to show up. So we keep showing up, and we don't realize that something has happened for most people until you are where you're just sick, or where you collapse, or where it's really, really maybe getting to depression, or you just look, or somebody steps in to help you. So honestly, what I would just say is, for that everybody needs to have a system where they have a routine and schedule check-in with themselves. Have a list for what you want for yourself, of what you want your life to look like, how you want to feel, how you want to show up, whether it's every month or every quarter or every year, whatever works for each person. But more frequent is probably better until you're sure you're good. Checking with yourself and checking with the people that see you, that understand you, like, hey, how am I doing in XYZ department? How am I looking? How am I sounding? Am I cranky? Am I exhausted? Because sometimes also we're in self-denial, and you look at yourself in the mirror. Oh, I don't look too lean. Oh, I don't look too chubby. I don't look too haggard. Yeah, I look okay. But somebody else will be like, no, your face was shinier last month, So checking with people who are around you, who will hold you accountable, and have an accountability partner. If it's your best friend, if it's your sister, or somebody, like, babe, if I'm beginning to look untidy, or just my riz is dropping, please alert me quickly, right? So I think that helps, but also drawing boundaries is important. Like, just setting up a system, and that system helps you to enforce the boundaries. I'm not going to stay up beyond whatever time. People can bring whatever it is they are going to bring, but you've put in a system that ensures that you go to bed early, you make sure you eat, and just practices that help to nurture yourself.
Yes, exactly. That constant checking with your friends, those people that they have your best interest at heart, that are going to tell you this fruit when you look like you are going through a lot, even when you shouldn't look like that. People that would have your back and then call you to order. And even girls that, there are people that be like, oh, you look a bit stressed and all. And there are some people that'll be like, you know what, let's go out or let's do this. People like that, you need them in your circle. And as a woman, it is a necessity. We're already in a lot of stress and all, and it's a necessity that you have that. So, there are many times when we talk about balance and it sounds like, oh, something perfect, that will, we're supposed to achieve. But in reality, balance is usually, built through small daily habits, like Dr. Folake has said. We find ways to take care of our bodies, how we nourish ourselves physically and mentally, and even sometimes as simple as fueling yourself by listening to a podcast or eating out or just taking rest, like routines that would keep you and that will affect your energy or mood, even if it's like the ability to cope with pressure. So I would like to ask both of you, like, what's realistic balance truly looks like routine wise, like what would you suggest people should do, just like you said, but like something that people can jot down and then have for themselves based on your experience age. So Dr. Folake, please share with us.
I think honestly it's in the habits, it's in the daily things that you do bit by bit, to help yourself, things that you set up to be able to put proper things in place, and having what was I saying? Again, having accountability partners, having a support system, those things really, really help. So realistic balance also, it doesn't have to be perfect. Life is not perfect. Your heartbeat goes up and down, right? There are good days, there are bad days. And as women, we know our hormones are going up and down. So really, what it is that you are setting up goals for yourself and you categorize them. Personal goals, career goals, professional goals, well-being, spiritual, financial. Set those goals for yourself, break them into small steps of what you can do. There are months that you would not be able to do 100%, and that's okay. And there are months that what you'll be able to do is 10%. That is okay, as long as you're taking steps, realistic steps. Sometimes we set unrealistic goals, right? And then when you check in, you reassess. But you just need to make sure that you really have to set up a system. Balance is not going to happen by itself. It is a plan that is put in action, and you now have things that counteract. Oh, am I doing too much? And checking with yourself again, like I said, when you're tired, oh, why am I so tired today? Review what you did. Or maybe I had some argument, or I did something extra. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I don't stress myself. Oh, I noticed that this particular thing takes a lot of my time. So those are the things that we just need to do. It's about putting a plan in to nourish yourself, mind, body, and soul, and checking and make sure that what you are doing is working.
Yes, thank you. You always need to check if it's working, or else try other strategies. Dr. Ogooluwa, can you share your list of things you think people can do to balance their lives?
I think that before we even talk about the list, it is important that we understand that how we look at balance, or the general concept of what balance is typically spoken about, or how it is spoken about, is a myth. Because when we speak about balance, most of the time when people say, oh, balance your life, it's almost like, oh, everything is 100% at the same time, or you're able to show up in the same way, in the same level, in the same way, different aspects of your life. But I think before you even come up with a list or things you should or should not do, you need to understand that at certain times of your life, there are certain aspects of your life that will take most of your attention. You are a human being. At the end of the day, you are just a human being. Even AI has limits. Honestly, you are a human being. I need to understand that at a certain point in life, you may sit down and realize, okay, this year, actually, I think I want to focus a lot more on my personal well-being. I want to rein in on how I feel physically, emotionally, socially, and all of that. And then I want to focus on my passion projects. So at that point, you may not be able to, other aspects of your life, you do not expect that when you are expending yourself in these aspects that I've spoken about, you will not be able to show up in the same way in other aspects of your life. So it's understanding and realizing that certain aspects of my life may not receive 100% of me at a particular time. So when I'm focusing on one thing at one time, I will be able to, I won't be beating myself up that, okay, this part of my life is not moving forward. But when we now talk about list, I think Dr. Folake has actually hit the nail on the head, is habits. You need to ensure that whatever it is you are doing, because when you talk about your personal well-being, whatever it is that you are doing, you have to ensure that you are looking at it as a lifestyle. That is, what do I mean by that? Your physical well-being, your physical wellness, your mental wellness is not just that, okay, I want to just do a physical detox for 30 days. No, how about thinking about building a healthy physical lifestyle? How about thinking about, okay, my mental well-being, I want to prioritize my mental well-being. How about like for like 30 days? Yes, that's great when we do all of those practices, but at the same time we need to think about the rest of your life. What happens after the rest? One thing that I always stand by whenever I'm trying to advise people about like lifestyle modification is understanding that, see, you have the rest of your life to make the right decisions. So do not think about your life in briefs. Think about your life in long term. What is it that I would do right now? What are the habits that I can sustain that will help me build a healthy lifestyle in the long run? Physically, if you want to talk about movement, about your diet, what are the little things that I can do to ensure that I am in maximum health, physically and mentally? If your mental well-being, what are the things I want to stop doing, I want to start doing? That will be for the rest of you have the rest of your life. So as much as possible, ensure that you are picking these things in bits and in pieces whenever you're prioritizing yourself. And then understanding that it's okay to ask for help. I am still learning that as well, but it's actually okay. Like, nothing will actually happen. The world will not collapse if you ask for help. If you admit that you are overwhelmed, if you admit that, oh, I need to take a break, the world will not collapse. I promise. I know it may feel like the world is going to collapse, especially if you have issues asking for help, but I kid you not, the world will move on. You are just human like the rest of us. So as much as possible, understand that you can ask for help. You can step back. You can admit that, see, I am currently overwhelmed and I need a break. So is one, recognizing that different aspects, you are going to show up at different times in your life at different levels. Is to understand that you have the rest of your life. Do not see your life as a one-time project. Your life is, you have the rest of your life. So whatever habits you are developing, think about the sustainability and understanding that it is okay to ask for help. Thank you.
All right, that's so lovely. I would literally just sit down. Thank you so much, Dr. Ogooluwa, for that. Please, guys, let's be keeping our questions, for the Q&A. It's coming up, in a few minutes now. So one key question is, why is saying no so difficult? And how do you protect your ambition without sacrificing yourself? I mean, we all understand that, boundaries need to be set and, you need to create your own identity. But at the same time, why does it feel like no is so difficult for most women to say? We understand, every woman is trying to become, more aware of how they treat themselves now, and thankfully most people are yet to prove that, yes, we want to learn how to do this. But like, why is it so difficult? And then, how can we now protect our ambition without losing ourselves? We'll start with Dr. Folake.
Okay, I'm here. Thank you for that. So, again, saying no is really just about conditioning. When you have been raised or conditioned that your value is in doing for others, it's in service, you tie everything you do into just showing up for others. And boundaries are necessary, to protect your long-term ambition, because again, it's about when you say one yes, you're automatically saying a no to something else by way of allocating your resources. And so you have to be proactive and have a plan. What are the things that I want to engage in? And that's why it's good to have a plan. You have goals. And so people will tell you if it doesn't align with my goal for this month or my goal for the quarter or goal for the year, I'm going to say no to it. And some people will tell you, I'm in my yes season where I'm saying yes to everything. You have to be deliberate. Saying no is not necessarily, many times we feel guilty, right? But you have to also try to be selfish in looking at yourself. What do you need? What is your priority, right? What is important to you? What is your priority and what do you need? And sometimes it's just practicing. When someone asks you something, oh, let me get back to you, rather than, oh, yeah, sure, no problem, I can. And then you get back and you're like, I've overcommitted myself. So when someone asks you just, oh, that's lovely, that's something I would love to be part of, let me check in or get back to you on that. Have a standard phrase, right? Just have that same standard phrase is on repetition and say that, and then you go back and give yourself time to think about it. You know, there are people amongst us who are great at just saying no as no, period. It's a full statement. And there are people who have to, and I do both. You know, sometimes I have to, depending on who, depending on what or how I'm feeling, I have to give some explanation. And there are times I'm starting to explain and I'm just like, do I really need to explain? I don't. Okay, maybe I feel bad for the person or I owe the person or you find a way, but you find a way. Just remember to prioritize yourself. It will feel difficult, but if your goals are important to you, you have to honor them. Giving your time away is honestly dishonoring yourself. You are misappropriating, because if you are supposed to work on a document or something for yourself for 3 hours and you take out of that 3 hours to go and give somebody else, you have dishonored yourself and you have misappropriated your time, because you have apportioned that time for that thing and you have removed it. And so you have to tell yourself, is it actually justified? Is it worth it? So you might even form a matrix for yourself to say, okay, is this thing justified? You know, those things that we see online, they'll be like, do you do this? Yes. Don't do it. Did you do this? No. Okay. Then did you do this? Yes. Don't do it. Right? You know, just give yourself a matrix and find a way as much as possible to end up protecting yourself, because that, when you protect your time, you're able to protect your ambition. And that means that what you're doing and your success is sustainable and you can protect your health and your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Folake. Truly, you need to learn the phrase of saying no. And of course, no is a full sentence, but there are times when, depending on whom you are speaking to or the situation, you might need to phrase it differently. Like she said, I'll get back to you, or give me a few minutes, stuff like that. Like, just to make sure that you are able to balance things out on your end and then you don't crash out. So, Dr. Ogooluwa, I would like to hear from you as well.
I think first of all, Dr. Folake has honestly conditioning is such a strong factor. I think we underestimate how much conditioning influences how we live and how we appear in the world and how we show up in the world. But I think one thing that women have to do is to unlearn. We need to unlearn that desire to be called the strongest woman in the room. It's almost like we are fighting you want to be known. It's just that we want to be known as, oh, don't worry, she's always available. Whenever you need her, she's always there. Call on her, she's there for you. We want, it's some form of ego boost. We want to be validated in that way. If you do not unlearn that, you would not know, you would say no will be the most difficult thing ever, because you will feel like you are failing in your duty that is not supposed to be in showing up for everybody. So it's understanding that, see, you cannot pour out of an empty cup. You cannot pour out of a cup that is constantly being depleted. You need time to go back and refuel and refuel yourself. And if you do not learn to show up for yourself, showing up for others will not be in the best way possible. Because I don't know if anybody has experienced a time where you just have a crash out. It's supposed to be a normal day, you're just crashing out because you have abandoned yourself so much that you are beginning to resist will I say, the showing up for other people. So in order for you to even show up well, for you to show up as you should for other people and people you care about, because that is equally important. You, to be the village, you have to be a villager. But at the same time, you need to learn that for you to show up as you should maximally, you need to be able to show up for yourself. And many times that is going to look like saying no in some situations, and understanding that. Another thing I realize, and another reason why I feel like we do not say no, which I have experienced personally, is that we feel like if I say no to something, this kind of opportunity will never come to me again. I might be missing out on a one-time opportunity. Now I'm going to link this to like your ambition. What's it called? I'm going to miss out on this. I'll never get this opportunity. I just realized that, I don't know, there's a particular author that I love so much, Eluhusa. There's this essay that I read where the person said, see, all the things that are given to me or that are mine, that are very important to me, that affect how I show up in the world, they were not given to me by people. They are mine. So that one thing that people saw or people are seeing in you that has made them to approach you for something, or I'm talking about I'm talking about career wise, the one thing that made them reach out to you, right, is yours. Nobody's going to take it away from you. It's not going to be stolen away from you because you had to decline something valid, like you had a valid reason to decline something. It's not going to be taken away from you. So as much as possible, let's not live our life in fear of being stolen from. That, okay, if I don't say yes to this, I'm going to lose. Yes, opportunities, take opportunities as you should, but at the same time, when you see that you are reaching a breaking point, don't let that fear make you overwork yourself or put yourself in unhealthy situations. What's that thing that people saw or that was seen in you that made people approach you for a certain thing is yours. Don't worry, nobody's going to take it from you. Nobody's going to steal it from you. It is yours to grow. It is yours to develop. That core thing, it is yours. So as much as possible, if you're able to unlearn that fear, it would really help us to live at least some form of balance in our careers and also with our personal well-being.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Ogooluwa. I mean, people need to understand that, opportunities that come to you are for you. You might have probably missed it before, or what, like they say, yours is, you need to be able to sorry, can we hear me? I think my network is having some issues.
Good evening, everyone. I think Maria is having some issues with her network. So maybe while we're waiting for her, we can start dropping our questions in the chat box.
Hi, sorry about that. There was a
Okay.
network disconnect. Thank you so much, Mrs. Chijima.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, so I was saying that, we can't pour from an empty cup, because you need to show up fully in the capacity that you have, that you've built or you've or you have to make sure that you are constantly growing and helping yourself as well. You can't pour from an empty cup because you get exhausted, and then that can be tragic. Do you understand? Surely losing yourself or crashing out or being perceived as rude just because of how you reacted to something, we need to be quite careful about that. So that being said, we'll be taking questions now. Bukola, sorry, your mic is on. Do you have a question? Oh, okay, I guess not. So does anyone have a question right now? If you don't want to speak, you can also leave it in the chat. Any questions? Okay, Tosin has a hand up.
Tosin, please go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's been a nice discussion so far. So I'd like to ask, so how do I reset after burnout, like without having to do so much?
Sorry, Dr. Folake and Dr. Ogooluwa, did you hear the question?
Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. So your question was around balancing motherhood and ambition without guilt. So, again, women can have it all. Sometimes it's not at the same time. Pardon the background noise. But what is really important is you have to be intentional about your life. And again, planning and building in support. You have to build a strong network of people around you, family members, choosing the right partner for you, really. Because they say, when you're dating somebody or you are getting even friendships, right? Relationships that you have a choice. Think about this person like when I lose a job, God forbid, when I have a child, when I'm going through a trying time, what would this person be like? And that makes a huge difference in people. Again, all of it doesn't have to be perfect. I think sometimes also the guilt really comes from expectations that either from watching other people show up a certain way, but you don't know what battles they are fighting behind. You have to look at your strengths. There are some people that are great at organizing. There are some people that are great at baking. And you'll be wondering, oh my God, school is resuming at 7 o'clock. And this woman has baked a bunch of cookies. She might have baked a bunch of cookies, but her kitchen looks like a hurricane passed through. She might have baked a bunch of cookies, but maybe the laundry is not done. Or maybe she bought a ready mix. You never know what it is that is helping other people cope. And so don't set your own train time on somebody else's time or what somebody else looks like. Your family, your children benefit from when you are at your best, right? When you show up at your best with passion, with discipline, with purpose, it also teaches them without you saying anything how they should show up for themselves and show up in life. Where you come as your best, you give yourself the best, and you come as your best. You can give your best only when you feel in a good place. So prioritizing your well-being is very, very important. And that even gives you clarity in what your aspirations are. Because someone who is tired, how can someone who is tired be thinking about doing an MBA, thinking about getting a promotion? You are very focused on surviving the next day when everything is chaotic, right? And it's always a struggle. So just balancing it again is possible. You can be a mother, you can have ambition. There's so many women who have done it. Something will give, and that is true. But the things that are giving, look at what is important. What is important for your child? Is it you sitting down and listening to them and having an emotional connection and your child feeling safe versus you waking up and making sure that, oh, my child must go to school with jollof rice? You can buy jollof rice, but you cannot buy the safety that your child feels, right? Them being able to talk to you about anything versus my child goes to school with jollof rice, or my child is going to school with freshly squeezed juice, not Nutri-C or not Vita. So yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Folake. Dr. Ogooluwa, do you want to add something?
No, I think Dr. Falake has done great justice to that question.
All right, thank you. Okay, so any other question from the audience?
All right, sorry. So thank you for that answer. It was a good one. So I would like to ask another question, right? So like, as a woman, when you do so much and you feel you are not appreciated as like maybe as much as you feel you should. So what can I do possibly to motivate myself? Like, I don't know if you actually understand my question, but why you feel you are not appreciated so much if for the effort you put in at all. Thank you.
Okay, is that okay? Are you still speaking?
No, I'm done. Like that's my question.
Okay, so I think that the first thing that I would typically advise is to communicate that feeling of being unappreciated with, I don't know what the situation is like. I don't know if it's somebody that is not appreciating the efforts. I don't know if it's people, but it's communicating it, because many times we feel like you don't have the choice to complain about things. You can complain. You can actually express when you are in an unpleasant situation. So it is learning to communicate that overwhelm, that lack of appreciation, right? I don't know if that has already been done already, but I think that that's usually a first step. And also the saying no and say, I can't take this, I cannot add this to my plate right now. I think that I would want to delegate. Somebody else should do this. So it's learning to delegate roles that has typically been yours. I know that initially when you are doing that, right, it's going to feel very discomforting. But you need to be able to sit down in that discomfort. That discomfort that comes from learning to say no to things that are keeping you overwhelmed. You need to sit. Discomfort will not kill us. That's the truth about the matter. Because we always try to run away from discomfort. So as much as possible, just be ready for discomfort that will come from having to step back and saying no to certain things. Don't view that discomfort as an invitation to return to the life of overwhelm. No, it's usually that discomfort is necessary to transition into a more healthy lifestyle and a more balanced life, right? One where you can actually say no without feeling some kind of way. So that's my 2 cents about that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ogooluwa. Thank you, Tosin, for your questions. Is there any other question? Okay, somebody has a question in the chat. Person says, is it really possible to do it all when there is always something waiting, another task, another responsibility, another expectation, pulling our attention? Sometimes it feels like the list never ends. So the real question becomes, is balance about trying to do everything, or about learning what truly deserves our energy in each moment? Dr. Folake, please, would you like to, I hope you got the question anyways, but would you like to answer?
Yes, I heard the question. So the list really would never end. Adults, like the song, adulthood is a scam. A lot of us wanted to grow up because we're like, I can choose whatever it is I want. I can. Is a lie. The list really never ends. Even maybe when you're retired and you're really retired. What really is, you don't have to be the one to do everything. By God's grace, we will all be able to afford to pay people to outsource tasks. So you have to prioritize what is important, what is urgent, what is important but not urgent, what is not important but urgent. Someone else can do it. What is unimportant and is not urgent. Someone else can definitely. So there are things that you don't even have to. Again, we talked about systems. You have someone that helps you, domestic staff or professional assistant. they can even filter through, and they, once you've trained people and set a system, the person knows this one should not even come to this person's hearing. Like, oh, they will just be updating you, like, oh, XYZ happened, or there was XYZ need, and it's been taken care of. Okay, it's just knowledge for me now. I don't have to be the one running around to say, water poured on the floor, who's going to clean it? There's no fuel in the car. Why am I the one doing that? Because, and I tell people around me, like, I need my time for more important things. Like, my time is worth, and you have to look at your time also, the value of your time in actual currency. You look at the value of your time in actual currency. Now look at the task that you have to do. If you're talking about washing plates is what? Maybe 200 naira, 500 naira task. And you calculate that against your time. If somebody else can do it, if you have nothing else to do, that's fine. So it's you have to look at it. And if you are young and you still cannot afford to outsource, blah blah, then it becomes a question of priority. You may be able to get through all of your list, and so you have to look at what is important and urgent that I need to take care of right now. What is urgent, but maybe not very important? Can somebody else do it? Nobody else can do it. Okay, it's urgent. Let me quickly take care of it, and figure out a way to reduce the time you spend on tasks that is not important. Now, in the day of AI, what can you automate? By God's grace, some of us, many of us, by God's grace, will be able to get our finances to the place where you can automate certain things, where you're not thinking about paying this bill. You know that you have enough money in your account, and you can automate that deduction or that payment, and it's just out of your mind. So you have to just worry about one thing, which is making sure XYZ amount is in that account, right? So the list will never end. Unfortunately, it's not over until it's over. The list will never end. It is prioritized, looking at your life and the goals you want to achieve and how you want to get there. Are you able to outsource? Please outsource. If you are not able to outsource, then if you're able to outsource, prioritize and outsource. If you're not able to outsource, then really prioritize and really weigh your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Folake. So the keynote is that we need to make sure we are prioritizing and delegating. If you know somebody else can do this for you and do it well, you delegate. If you know it is not important, it's not urgent, but it's important, you can get someone else to do it, so you can focus on more important and urgent things on your desk. So I hope that answers your question. Dr. Ogooluwa, before I proceed, do you want to add something?
No, I think that's a sufficient enough response.
All right, thank you. So we have another question in the chat. Someone typed, what if my workplace doesn't respect my boundaries? How does one balance things then? Dr. Ogooluwa, would you like to take that?
All right. I think, first of all, someone who is working as a medical doctor in Nigeria, where in medicine it is almost tradition for your boundaries to be seen as non-existent, I realized that, first of all, your job, we need to point out the fact that your job is important and money has to be made, right? So it's very delusional to just say, just